most of you should know by now, we are expecting a little baby girl in July through adoption. We kind of started the adoption process last July. We had been trying to get pregnant for 6 or 7 years before we had made that decision. And so yeah, it's been an awesome ride so far. I will link the announcement video down below, and we kind of share a little bit of the process so far. So I think I'm going to answer 10 of the questions today, and then I think I'll do another Q&A when it gets a lot closer to the delivery date, like maybe late June or early July. So I'm just gonna hurry up and jump right in. Prissy's house asks, how did you come up with the name Harper? Precious name, by the way. Thank you so much for that. So basically 8 years ago, Joe came up with this name, kind of like, we were kind of just joking around, and he just like blurted out this name, and it was Noella. And I absolutely instantly loved that name. So when we decided to adopt, I didn't know if we were still gonna be able to go with that name, because sometimes the birth mothers want to choose the name, which I totally understand and respect that. And then during the first ultrasound, we were looking at little Harper on the screen, and Sarah said, do you have a name picked out? I didn't know how to respond because I didn't know she wanted to pick the name. And then I think I had told her another time that we always wanted to name her Noella, but it was like very early on in the process and before they had really chosen us. So I just kind of said, oh, well, we've always really liked the name Noella. And she was like, oh, okay, I like that. And I had said, if you have a name that you really like, you can pick the middle name if you want. And she was like, oh, okay, I'll think about it. Sarah is like a complete bookworm. Like, she's one of those people that just loves reading. She could like live in a library if she could. And so one of her favorite authors is Harper Lee. And Harper Lee, what's her last name? To Kill a Mockingbird, the author of that and a ton of other books, I don't know. So she had texted me that she really liked the name Harper for the middle name. And I was like, oh, okay, great. So it was gonna be Noella Harper Paradis. A few weeks went by, and just during that entire like 2 or 3 week period, I just kept feeling like her name was Harper. And whenever I would think about her, I would refer to her as Harper, and then I would like correct myself and be like, no, Noella. I love the name Harper. It's funny because it's something that I probably would have never picked, but I really do love it. But we had just gotten in our head for 8 years that her name was Noella. And so it was really kind of just weird to like not go with that name. So I kind of tried to fight it for like 2 weeks, and the feeling just kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And so Joe and I actually prayed about it. And after that prayer, we were just like, her name is Harper. How we came up with the middle name is my mom's middle name is Annette, and my middle name is Annette. And so I thought it would be really funny, I thought it would be really fun to carry the tradition on to the 3rd generation and have her middle name be Annette as well. And so it's Harper Annette Paradis, which I really, really love. Laura Burr. The next person asks, what kind of adoption are you guys doing? I don't know the technical, I think I know the technical name of it, but if this isn't the actual technical name, I'll have it go across the bottom of the screen. But I've always just referred it to as, did that sentence make sense? A domestic open adoption. I always feel like I'm explaining it in a really stupid way, but it's basically when a girl finds out she's pregnant and she knows that she's not in the position to be a mother and to raise a child. So she goes to an agency while she's pregnant, and they help her to pick an adoptive family that is just the perfect fit for her. And then when she goes into labor, the adoptive families then take the baby home from the hospital. For me, this type of adoption is just such a beautiful solution for both parties, because obviously when a girl finds out she's pregnant and she's not in the position to take care of the baby, she can either, you know, keep the baby and try to raise it and like really struggle to now be a mother even though she's not ready. The other option is for her to have an abortion. So those are kind of like two, you know, I feel like a lot of people think of those two options when they find themselves in that situation, but there's a whole like middle option, which is adoption. And it's such an awesome option. Like, I'm so grateful for it, because for me, it's like the perfect solution for the birth mother, because she's able to make this loving, heroic, selfless decision to find that baby just the best home. On the other side of that, she's blessing this family who can't have kids on their own with a baby, which is like just the biggest blessing there is. Like, it's just the most greatest gifts. And so for me, even before we went down the adoption road ourselves, I always just had such a love and respect for this type of adoption. An open adoption can mean anything from sending pictures a couple of times a year to having frequent visits with the birth parents, and anything in between. It's just what you as the adoptive parents feel comfortable with and what the birth parents and birth families feel comfortable with, and you kind of create a little plan together and execute it. So we've always wanted to have an open adoption. We have always wanted our children to know that they were adopted, knowing that they weren't given up, and that they were placed for adoption because they were so loved by their birth parents, that their birth parents made a hard and selfless decision to place them for adoption because they loved them so much. We know that that's what's best for our children. Sometimes it probably would be easier to not have an open adoption and just kind of soup the baby up and just live your lives. But I 100% know that it's in the best interest for our children to have open, strong relationships with their birth parents. And so because of that, that's what we'll do for our children. There wasn't a specific number that we had on it, but we were, I think, in our minds thinking like 3 or 4 visitations a year, phone calls every now and then I would probably send the birth parents pictures like once a month. I think that was kind of like our general idea of how open we wanted it to be. With it being family, obviously we're gonna see them more than 3 times a year. But other than that, I really don't think it's gonna be that much different. Candy123 asks, will you continue to adopt a little after Harper gets older so she will have a sibling? Yes, we plan on doing this exact same type of adoption 2 or 3 more times. Wait, no, 2 more times. I think we want 3 kids, and so we would go through this process 2 more times. With most agencies, they want you to wait a year from when you last had a baby, and so when Harper is a year old, we'll be able to start that whole process all over again. Rissy1394, I'm probably butchering these names, asks, are you scared they will change their mind after they have the baby? Yes. I'm scared that they'll change their mind throughout the entire process, because nothing is, you know, a done deal. Basically how it works is the birth mother chooses you, and then after she has the baby and you take the baby home, she signs, you know, paperwork saying that you can take the baby home. And then after that, she has 5 business days to change her mind. After that 5 days is when it's like a done deal. They can't change their mind after that. So they can't come like a month or 2 or 6 months later and change their mind. So obviously we have that in the back of our mind that that could happen, and it's obviously a very scary and heartbreaking thought, but that's adoption. There's really nothing that we can do about it. And so I think that there kind of comes a point in the adoption process that you just kind of have to go all in, because I think in the beginning we were scared about that, and so we didn't want to connect, we didn't want to get attached, we didn't want to get our hopes up, we didn't want to tell anyone, because we thought, you know, the more we do those things, the more it's gonna hurt if something like that happens. But I think over the past month, we've really decided, you know what, you just have to go all in, and you just have to have faith and you can't hold back. J. Tyler 8039 says, what was your family's reaction response given the specific circumstances of your particular situation? Everyone was super supportive on Joe's side of the family. Everyone was super supportive on my side of the family. Everyone was really excited and super supportive. Everyone kind of knows my story and Ben's story, and so I think that when we told specifically my side of the family, everyone was just like, oh, how wonderful. Many Blessings asks, are you going to have a baby shower? I never knew how a baby shower was gonna work with adoption, so I am excited that with this situation and everything going well, I am gonna be able to have a baby shower. It's one of those things that like I kind of just crossed off in my mind as like something that probably wouldn't happen, which I was fine with, but obviously having a baby shower is always fun. So I'm gonna have a family baby shower in Utah, and then I'm going to have a friend baby shower here in Colorado. Speaking of my sister-in-law, Jen Gallagher asks, looking back, how have you seen the hand of the Lord growing in your family through adoption? It's been crazy how much we've really felt Heavenly Father's presence in our lives through this whole process. There's just been so many times where I've prayed about something and have really gotten like an answer. Like sometimes when you pray about something, you know, you're like, did I get an answer? Am I getting an answer? It's kind of like sometimes a confusing process. It's been really neat. I've really felt guided throughout this whole process, probably more than I ever have in my entire life. Candy123 asks another question, and she asks, do you think there will be some uncomfortableness when you guys have a family get together with her calling you mom and her calling Joe dad? I kind of prefaced that a little bit. To be perfectly honest, when they first called us up back in November, I was just like, what? That'll be so weird. Because that's instantly what my mind went to. Like, when you guys come over for a holiday, is it gonna be weird seeing Joe and I play the roles of mom and dad? But the more I thought about it, I thought, you know what? This really isn't that much of a different situation than we were already thinking that we were gonna have. As they see you in that role and as they see that the child is happy and healthy, I think that they are more and more grateful for the decision that they made, and I think that they see more and more that they made the right decision and that they're happy in their decision. They get that comfort and happiness through seeing you as mom and dad and seeing that you are raising that child in a really good way. I don't know how to word any of this, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. And so I've seen a lot of people go through this process. So when I was thinking about it, like, oh, wouldn't that be weird having them come over for Thanksgiving and having, you know, us be the mom and dad and having them be aunt and uncle? Like, wouldn't that be weird? But then I remembered that really it's not that much different at all from what we were already envisioning of having an open adoption and having visits with the birth parents. My battery is dying. I had to change out my battery card and then I left my camera or my phone over there. But the last question is, so I don't have the name of the person that asked it, but you know who you are. The last question is, will I be in the delivery room during delivery? And the answer is excitingly, yes. Sarah invited me to be in the delivery room with her, which I was just super, super excited and grateful and appreciative that she did. She even said that Joe could be in there, like maybe towards the end. So he might be in there as well. Again, we're just gonna leave it up to her during the time. And if she, you know, decides that she doesn't want him in there, then that is completely fine. And if she says, yeah, come in, then that would obviously be a super special experience for Joe to experience. Obviously if he was in the room, he would stay like by her head and he wouldn't look at all during that whole he wouldn't be in the south of Mississippi at all. Anywho, thank you for watching and thank you again for all of your love and support. Also, fun little fact, I hit 5,000 subscribers yesterday, which is super exciting. So thank you for all of your love and support with my channel, with this whole adoption process. We're super excited. I will have some links down below if you want to kind of dive into this type of adoption a little bit more. I know when I first heard about it, like I said, through my brother and sister-in-law, I was like, what? Like, I was so fascinated by it. So I will leave some blogs down below, and then I also know some specific blog posts that are really cool. One of them is when the birth mother was delivering the baby, and the adoptive mother was in the room with her, and they had a photographer in there, and so you like see the entire process unfold and like what that looks like in the hospital with the adoption process. Give this video a thumbs up if you're still here, and I will see you guys later. Bye.